Elizabeth, Countess of Low Carb, and on this episode, I'm doing a YouTube Live. Before I dive in, make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up. Make sure you click subscribe and sign up for my weekly Wednesday weight loss email. It has my keto meal plan on it and talks about intermittent fasting in it. Now let's dive into today's video. I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting how-tos, all of your questions answered, or at least some of them, and intermittent fasting weight loss. Intermittent fasting weight loss. So I have tons of questions from our Facebook group. I will put that in the description link below after this Facebook or after this YouTube live is complete, where I asked people to put questions for intermittent fasting. I have lost from intermittent fasting weight loss 67 pounds through keto, through intermittent fasting. If you've not seen my before and after picture, go check out my hundreds of other YouTube videos where I talk a little bit about my weight loss. But today on Saturday night, yes, it is 10:30 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. Hi guys! And I wanted to dive into your questions. I've got them written on my 3-year-old's little notebooks here. And I wanted to kind of roll through some of them. If I don't get through all of them, if you guys like this format, put in the comments if you want me to do this again on another Saturday night or another day of doing YouTube lives. If this is something you guys like to have questions answered, I'm happy to do it. If you guys are happy to do it, because it prevents me from having to do editing. Editing takes a long time. So hopefully, I know I'm gonna have tons of mistakes, probably talk too fast and use too many hands, but let's dive into your questions. So intermittent fasting how-tos, intermittent fasting weight loss questions. Someone said, those are short ones. Okay, fasting every day. How does someone start doing fasting? So if you're an intermittent fasting beginner, how have I gone from binge eating every single night to fasting? So here's how I did it, is through doing keto first, which is high fat, moderate protein, low carb. I did keto and then I weaved in from keto to intermittent fasting. I really strongly feel that intermittent fasting is best done with keto. It doesn't have to be. My sweet hot husband does intermittent fasting and he does not eat keto. He does not eat the ketogenic way of life, but he does do fasting and has seen massive results. He's had weight loss. He's had more mental clarity, higher productivity. There's a reason why Silicon Valley executives are flocking to intermittent fasting. It's because of the energy you get, right? And I have had like 5 cups of coffee, so I'm speaking of energy. So fasting every day, what I personally recommend is doing 4 days of fasting and then taking a 5th day of break. I do have a free printable on a stair-step method, and if you guys want more fasting printables, let me know. I'm happy to provide those for you. But what I do is 4 days of basically a 16-hour fast, an 18-hour fast, a 20-hour fast, a 24-hour fast, somewhere in that combination. And then on the 5th day, I eat whenever I friggin' want. I think mentally I need that, and physically my body needs just like a break. Dr. Fung, who's the daddy of intermittent fasting, Dr. Fung talks a lot about in his videos, which I strongly encourage you to watch his YouTube videos because they're scientifically based. It's not like theory. It's not like my personal experience. It's like scientifically, he's basing it off of scientific facts, which I encourage. And so he talks about your body varying up different types of fasts. So I would encourage you, vary up your fast, have different days of fasting, have different times of fasting. Don't get into a set routine. I love routines. I love patterns, but for intermittent fasting weight loss, it's best to vary those and stair step and try different methods. And along those methods, someone's asking about 24-hour fasting or OMAD, 1 meal a day. Those are 2 different things. A 24-hour fast, which I frequently do, I will fast for 24 hours and then I will eat, a meal or 2 and then I'll start fasting again. For OMAD, it's you fast for 24 hours and you have 1 meal a day. That's it. And then you go into another fast. And so Dr. Fung has said that method works for about 2 or 3 months and then stops working, right? Which is news to me because everyone talks about OMAD, 1 meal a day. Oh, this is so great. And so I think that it's interesting that method can slow down your weight loss progress, which is why varying your fasting times is important. Hey guys, if you're watching, give it a big old thumbs up, smash that thumb button. I'm seeing how many people are watching and there's not enough thumbs up signs going up. So give them a big old thumbs up for this video. Next question. Is somebody they have to take medication in a 24-hour period. How do I do a 24-hour fast and get the most benefits from fasting when I have to take my medication? Okay, so if you have to take medication, take your medication. Don't stop taking your medication to fit into fasting. Fasting should fit into your lifestyle, not your lifestyle fitting into fasting. Did I say that right? So for your medication, what I would encourage you to do is doing more of a water-based fast. So Dr. Fung talks in his book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. I will put that book when we're done with this live. I'll put that link to the Amazon. It's an affiliate link, but I'll put that link in there on page 254 of that book. Get it from the library, get it. Somehow, however you can get it, borrow it from a friend. But on page 254, it talks about what breaks a fast and what does not break a fast. Technically, having heavy cream in your coffee does not break a fast. Technically, having coconut oil does not break your fast. Butter in your coffee does not break your fast. They do break autophagy, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But so what I would suggest is not having anything in your coffee. So either having coffee, water, tea, sparkling water, and not mixing anything in there, making it basically like a water fast to get your maximized benefits. If you have to have medication and you can't have different varying levels, like you couldn't do like a 30-hour fast because of your medication, because you need to eat with your medication, then my suggestion would be to build up to a water fast. And I'm meaning water, coffee, tea, sparkling water, those type of things. That would be what I would do if I had to take medication on a 24-hour basis. Next, somebody said, I've been on and off with intermittent fasting and I keep binge eating. What do I do? Been there, done that. As somebody who's had an eating disorder, and people ask me this in a nice way and in a not so nice way, but here's my nice way of answering it. Of having had an eating disorder and being in recovery from it, that I love intermittent fasting because there's clear-cut boundaries and there's freedom within the boundaries. There's freedom to when to eat and when not to eat. And for me, I love rules. Like there's rules with that and I can stick with that. And so if somebody's having struggles with that, I would suggest do the stair-step method. Get my free printable. If you're a visual person, you can color it in. And that helps see like when you're on, when you're off, and help define some boundaries with it. Having been somebody who's binged eat a whole bunch, having those boundaries for me has been super, super helpful and super, super important. And have an accountability buddy. Join our Facebook intermittent fasting group. It's called Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss by Countess of Low Carb. I just created this free group, free resource to be like a Weight Watcher, so to speak, but for intermittent fasting. I would encourage you to get like-minded people around you who understand fasting. For me, like tomorrow, Sunday, in our group, we're gonna have a 24-hour fasting challenge. Like surrounding yourself with people who do fasting and don't think that you're a whack job, I think is really, really important for intermittent fasting. So that would be my suggestion. If you're not getting this thing, surround yourself with more encouraging people who do fasting, and it may help you through osmosis. Iron sharpens iron, that's for sure. Okay, someone says, how do I count my macros on for intermittent fasting keto? Which I do, intermittent fasting keto. How do you count macros while you're fasting? Okay, so most days when I'm fasting, I'm not hitting my macros. I'm just physically not hungry. I'm just physically cannot force myself to eat that. And I also don't think that that's a good weight loss strategy of making myself like eat foods. Like it just goes against common sense. So what I would say is for counting your macros, what I do is I still do high fat, moderate protein, low carb. I just do the percentages off of it. So 70% fat, and then what are the other ones? No, I'm forgetting. It's the percentages, high fat, moderate protein, low carb. And I can put those actual percent, like if you need the specific percentage amounts, I can definitely put that in the description link after this video is done. But I still eat a ketogenic way of life. I just am not counting my macros on fasting days. Now, on the days, you know how I talked about 4 days of fasting, 5th day of rest? On that 5th day of rest, I try to count my macros, although I do more of lazy keto, which is not counting macros. It's eating high fat, moderate protein, low carb. So for your fasting, so how do you count macros? I don't. I just eat high fat, moderate protein, low carb. Let's see here. If your goal is autophagy, how are you going to do intermittent fasting? So this is the intermittent fasting how-to. This is intermittent fasting weight loss, intermittent fasting beginners. We got it all up in this video. Make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up and make sure you click subscribe if you haven't already done so. But so if your goal is autophagy, so what is autophagy? Probably first should be what I should define, and then I can tell you what to do about it. Autophagy is self-eating, your cells self-eating. It's like Pac-Man going through and chomping up your cells and cleaning them. It's a cleaning method of if you have, say, a junk cell, your body will scoop it out and eat that first. It's going to eat the junk cells first and leave the good healthy cells, like Super Mario Brothers, of like trying to win, like to get to Koopa's castle. It's eating out like the crappy ones to get to the good ones. And y'all, it's 10:30 at night. My analogies are not normally where they should be, but I'm trying my best here tonight, people. I'm trying my best. It's a Saturday night. What do you expect? So for autophagy, if your goal is autophagy, basically, the bottom line is cut out anything during any sort of protein per Dr. Fung, the daddy of intermittent fasting. Any sort of protein is going to not lessen, but will stop your autophagy. So that means any sort of protein, meaning heavy cream, coconut oil, butter, any sort of protein-based thing will not lessen, but stop your autophagy. So if your goal is to try to have like a healthier lifestyle, trying to prevent precancerous cells, preventing Alzheimer's cells, things like that, you want to have autophagy rocking and rolling, which starts after 16 hours and it goes all the way up to a 72-hour fast. After 72-hour fast, it basically stops. So between 16 hours and 72-hour fast, that's where the jam is for autophagy. And if your goal is doing that, get to a 16-hour fast, and ideally between a 72-hour fast, that would be your goal. And make sure that you're having a water-only fast, basically. So no heavy cream, no any sort of protein base will stop. Oh, chicken broth, or excuse me, not chicken, bone broth. Any sort of bone broth will stop autophagy also. So you do not want to have that during your fast. Bone broth does not break a fast, but it does stop autophagy. So hopefully that helps clear up a little bit about autophagy. Is an amazing thing, and we yet don't know enough about it. There's still more scientific research coming out. It makes me bonkers when people are like, about autophagy. I'm like, boo, you don't know. We don't have enough scientific research yet on it. And the reason why is because fasting is not a frequently funded thing. Food manufacturers are not all in line to do fasting studies because it doesn't make them money, right? There's no money, there's nothing you can schlep or sell as a food manufacturer with fasting. So there's not a lot of studies done on fasting. Therefore, we don't know as much as we probably will in the future because there's not a lot of funded studies with that. She's doing a 24-hour fast on Sunday. I'm doing a 24-hour fast on Sunday. Yes, in my Facebook group, which is Intermittent, and I'll put this in the description link replay afterwards. It's Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss by Countess of Low Carb. It's a long name. It's a long name, but it will be on Facebook. We're going to be doing that tomorrow, Sunday, starting whenever. It's just going to start on Sunday. Okay, next questione. So this is intermittent fasting how-to, intermittent fasting weight loss, intermittent fasting for weight loss, intermittent fasting beginner. We're doing all things. What drinks can I have during my fast? So like I said, coffee, tea, sparkling water, regular water, but nothing with sweetener. A sweetener will break your fast immediately. Do not fast go. So anything like a Crystal Light or something like that. That's not that. You cannot have that to be fasting technically because it does have sweetener in it. If you say put like stevia or Truvia or monk fruit or Swerve into your coffee or tea, that stops your fast immediately also. What foods can you have on your fast? Well, nothing because you're fasting, so you're not eating. What I do have, and I've recommended to help write out hunger cravings for the keto, so for intermittent fasting and for keto, is I have pink salt or molten sea salt. I'm loving molten sea salt. Like I get the tins. I'm obsessed. I have a tin in my pocketbook, my car. I have one now by my bed because I wanted it last night. They're like little sea salt flakes. I put one or two under my tongue and it literally just helps write out the craving, but it also changes the taste buds in my mouth. So it like reframes me being hungry. So I do have that, and Dr. Fung says that that's a good thing because animals walk miles to get to salt licks, right? Like having those minerals. And so we need salt. And so that's why I do it also is for electrolytes. If I get bad headaches during fasting, I had that happen, what was it? Yeah, 3 days ago. I had a horrible headache, like raging, and that was an electrolyte thing, which I knew I needed more salt. I had more salt, the headache went away. So, there was something else I was going to say along those lines about food and drinks for fasting. What was it? Someone asked, I'll come back to that, but someone asked, what can I eat after my fast and how much? Oh, this is a good question. Okay, so for somebody who has a sensitive tummy, that's me, Dr. Fung used to recommend having 30 minutes before you ate your meal, having a thing of nuts. He since said, no, don't do that. That's really not so good for your stomach. Instead, the best thing that you can have to break your fast is to have like a cup or a half a cup of raw vegetables, a small salad, something like that. That will help get your digestion going. Wait 30 minutes and then have your meal. I typically, and people are like, oh, well, when do you do that? I typically do it like for 18-hour fasts and beyond, if I have time. Sometimes it's a timing issue. If I don't do that, then my tummy pays later. That's basically what it is. Like going from your digestion not working to working, and you throw in, say, like a ribeye with some grass-fed butter on there, that's not usually the best for, like, it could hurt your tummy. So The Countess doesn't talk about such things, but you can use a visual aid on that. Making sure you're easing your digestion in to getting started. What do you eat before a fast? So before our 24-hour fast tomorrow, what I typically have is something, a keto diet of a high fat, moderate protein, low carb. And so for intermittent fasting, my how-to on that is that I typically have some sort of ribeye, a New York strip, a high fat beef, or I'll have with grass-fed butter on top, or I'll have, say, like a fish with grass-fed butter, something usually just very filling with vegetables with butter on top, or avocado oil, or olive oil, or hemp seed oil, or pecan oil, macadamia oil, like some sort of fats combined with it, and then making sure I'm full, and that sets me up for success, right? For my 24-hour fast. Someone asked about intermittent fasting and weight loss, or intermittent fasting for weight loss. This is my jam, having lost 67 pounds through keto and intermittent fasting. But my secret has been where I found the best source of weight loss has been through intermittent fasting, big time. And rewinding a little bit, some of y'all are OGs, but some of y'all are new to the Countess of Low Carb area. I was pregnant this fall. I lost my baby Nadine in my second trimester. So some people are like, you said you've lost 67 pounds now for a long time. Yes, boo, I have. But I was pregnant, lost a baby, and now I'm back into the ballgame. But during that time, the point of me sharing that is that during that time for intermittent fasting, the best way I've lost weight is through intermittent fasting. And the reason why is not because of calorie restriction. That is not what intermittent fasting weight loss is. This whole thing is about insulin management. And if you don't know about this theory, go watch Dr. Fung's calories videos and then come back and give me a comment later on about how much it helped you, because it literally changed my life and my philosophy of the programming, the horrible programming of 1990s mentality of calories in, calories out. That's bull. That is not true. Calories, of course, do matter. You can't gorge yourself. Like, that's not weight loss. So let's take that. That's like obvious. But the calories in, calories out method is the whole thing about weight loss is insulin management, of keeping your insulin flat-lined. And that's through a keto way of life. And that's also through intermittent fasting. When you're not eating, you're not chronically spiking your insulin. When you eat, you spike your insulin. The way you less spike your insulin is through intermittent fasting and keto. So through keto is high fat, moderate protein, low carb. High fat does not spike your insulin as much as protein or as carbohydrates. Carbohydrates majorly spike your insulin. Protein spikes your insulin. Fat minorly spikes your insulin. And so weight loss is an insulin management thing. And so the more you can do that with keto combined with intermittent fasting, it's like Avengers. It's like Black Widow and Tony Stark. You're kicking some booty, Avengers style. And so combining those two things together, if you are looking to lose a chunk of change, like I'm on a 100-pound weight loss journey, I've got to do those two things together for maximum benefits. So going back to, what was my next question? What to eat before a fast. So we talked about that. What to eat after a fast. So after a fast, typically I'll do the same thing. I'll have some sort of keto food. I'll have my veggies, or half a cup of veggies, a full cup of veggies, and then have like a meal with that. Sometimes that takes planning, and with my kid and our foster mentee, that takes planning as well. Somebody had asked, a great question about family. How do I do intermittent fasting with my family? Okay, so I have a 3-year-old, hot husband. I work my intermittent fasting schedule of 4 days on, the 5th day I take a day of rest, and then do that cycle over again around our family schedule. Some weeks we have family stuff where that's not always like the rule, and I'm flexible to adapt with that rule. And that would be my encouragement to you is if you have family stuff and say you have a family event, eat the freaking food. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason like why we say break bread. Like, I don't eat bread, but like breaking bread together is a bonding thing. It's a social thing. There's something, there's more than just eating. And so like tonight, for example, I had a family function this evening, and then earlier today I had a friend get together. Both were centered around food. And so I knew today was not going to be a huge fasting day. While I did have was it 16 hours? It was 16 hours. I had 16 and a half hours of fasting, but I had planned that accordingly. So plan with your family. The point I'm trying to get at for the question of how do you do this with your family is plan it accordingly. Like, if you know some days you're gonna have family events, freaking eat with your family. If you know some days you don't need to eat or you can get around it, then don't eat with them. I do a couple nights a week with my little boy of where I just don't eat. Like, they're eating, I'm having my Pellegrino in a beautiful wine glass with like my straw hanging out. Like I make it look really, really pretty, but I'm not eating, and that's totally okay. Somebody else had said about, I'm going to get back to those comments. Somebody else had said about Sonic Ice, which is my new favorite thing. I love Sonic Ice. So find different types of ice that you like. Sparkling water, things that make you happy about fasting. I strongly, strongly encourage that. So if you're loving this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you click subscribe. I would love to see other questions that you have about intermittent fasting. On this one, we kind of talked about intermittent fasting how-to, intermittent fasting weight loss, intermittent fasting for beginner, intermittent fasting for women. We could talk about intermittent fasting all day, but I think that that's about it. I would love to do another question and answer. If you guys like this, if this was of value, I would love to do it again sometime. So, I think that's it, guys. I'm trying to figure out how you turn this off. Now, can the Countess turn off her YouTube live video? I don't know, but you guys may catch me like trying to turn it off. Have you guys seen people who are like, how do you turn it off? Everyone might be me. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Put your comments below and check out my other intermittent fasting videos I have. One is with my free printable, and I also have free weekly Wednesday weight loss emails. It's where I email you my free keto meal plan of what I'm eating. I also have my ALDI keto shopping list and my free Costco keto shopping list also, and then my intermittent fasting printable too. I got tons of free resources, and sign up for that Facebook group. And then we do have a keto Facebook group, and on Instagram, y'all. I'm on Instagram too. So we're all over the place.